Hello my friends and welcome to another Tuesday of tutorial. I am Leonardo Perez Nieto and today we will make a simple watercolor. We will use this painting set, water, tissue paper and a couple of brushes. We take a little water with the brush to make the colors function and we can mix them over here on these spaces. It is a wise practice to have another container of water to clean off the paint so as to keep the water in one of the containers clean for longer. The paper I will be using is already stretched and attached all around. If you use a loose piece of paper, tape it all around to a board so that it is stretched. We can apply the watercolor on a dry surface to do detail. It is very precise in this way. The edges are sharp. Or you can get the paper wet and then apply the paint on it. In this case, it will run beautifully. If we make a line from dry to wet, let's do it here also, you can see what happens. And let's add more pigment, more paint. You can add more colors and they will mix. And while it is wet, you can erase or lighten it up by lifting the paint up with a tissue paper. For example, if we paint a blue sky, we can gently dab it to produce some clouds. Now, for our painting of today, we will use a masking tape to make the horizon line and cover the edge of the sea. Then we mix the colors that we will use for starters, like a grayish blue, one that will be a little bit more purple, and the greenish one. With a big brush for washes, if you have one, if not, you can use something else. We get the whole upper part wet, just from the tape up. To then apply the paint. I don't want it too even, because I want to indicate some clouds, some diversity on the sky, an area with more lights, and things like that. My surface is slightly tilted toward me. That is why you see that the paint runs a little. We can add different variations of color and different intensities. We can lighten up areas of light, and so that the whole thing dries faster if you want, you can use a hair dryer. Here it is a little bit drier but still a bit damp, so I can still use a tissue paper to lighten it up. Now we carefully lift up the tape and it looks as if I could make straight lines. It will have a hill at the distance by the horizon line, and let's paint some trees on it, the silhouette of some trees on the border, like so. I'm using a very fine brush for this. And here is a tip for you. If you grab little paint so the brush is nearly dry and you use it lightly and on the side, you can paint like this, leaving some white spaces, which is great to create the effect of water reflections. This works if the paper has some texture. By the way, you may have seen at the beginning that I'm using a watercolor set with plenty of colors. But don't be intimidated, I'm only using like 5 or 6 colors from it. You can work with a much smaller set, no problem. And let's paint a lighthouse over here. The list of all the materials that I am using is in the description below the video. Okay, good. Now I will place something like this eraser on the back of the path to lift it so that the paint will run. We get all the paper wet again and then we add some more paint, a little bit darker this time, leaving an area of light on the sky like on the first third. I didn't mention this before, but also the horizon line is at about 1/3 from the bottom up. This for composition purposes, it looks better. We can create some reflections with the tissue paper, lifting up the paint while it is wet. And once it dries, we apply water on it once more, and we can lighten or erase some lines by rubbing lightly, and then we will add more paint still. As you see, we are painting on layers. Since the watercolor paint is transparent, you should start light and then darken and darken in layers, because it is easier to keep darkening and difficult to lighten up. We do a similar thing for the sea, and then once it is dry again, we add a little bit more waves and the reflection of the hill with the technique of the dry brush. Paint with not a lot of water on a dry surface, like so. And always remember that when the watercolor dries, it dries lighter. So you should apply the colors a little bit darker than what you want them at the end, because they will lighten up. And if you made it all the way to this point, I would love to know about it. In the comments, please write me the secret code, the Lonely Lighthouse. Let's darken the lower part and the sides a little bit more, so that the reflection contrasts more, and then let's also make a reflection of the lighthouse itself. And as a little touch of life at the end, let's also paint some birds. Some goose over here and some seagulls here. And it's ready! If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. Let me know if you want another watercolor tutorial, even more simple for beginners. And I will see you with more creations on Tuesday.